Hey everyone, Kylie here from Sorrow's Art. Um, Today I am going to start bringing to you um, a couple of the art projects that have really helped me. Um, Sorry about the big monsters headphones, but I couldn't really show you guys the art projects on my phone and record at the same time. So um, I'll get started. Um, The one thing that I did before I even got into the grief poetry was while I was seeing a therapist, she suggested to me that I should write a little book about my father. Um, she said, just put whatever you want in there, just memories of him so she was expecting me just to go and get like a little notebook and just write down little memories that yeah. Well, I don't only go halfway with things, so I went and got a whole big binder. 3-ring binder, whole bunch of white line paper, and I went into chapters. Now, you don't have to do this. You can, do a little tiny thing. But it really helped me. I call it my Good Thoughts About Daddy book. And it really helps when I am really starting to miss my father, when I am starting to have flashbacks about when he was sick. Any bad memories that I have of when he was sick, or, I start missing him too much. A song comes on the radio and, makes me miss him. I see something on the TV and makes me miss him. I break out my Good Thoughts About Daddy book, and, it really, almost makes it feel like he's sitting right there with me, reliving every moment. Now, when I say I went into chapters, I mean I went into chapters. We used to go to Florida every year, so I wrote a big chapter about Florida. We would go to Pensacola, Navarre. That's right on the panhandle of the Gulf of Mexico. That's where my grandparents lived. So we would go there, and then we would go to Orlando. So I wrote a lot about that. We would go camping every weekend, especially in the summer and fall. So a lot about that. My home life with him, my church life with him. We had a lot of family traditions with holidays and birthdays. And as my sisters and I grew up, we all kind of distanced ourselves from the holidays a little bit, but because I was home with him and my mother, my husband and I kind of, continued that, at least for his sake. And I'd like to kind of, keep that going, at least for my sake, so that it feels like he is still there. And then I have a chapter called My Funny Daddy, which I think is pretty much like the biggest chapter of them all. Because like I said in my previous video, my dad was like a big 12-year-old. He had such a personality, even up until the end. And, so I like to read at least a few pages from each chapter when I'm feeling like I need to. And even when I'm feeling like I don't need to, it just makes me feel like he's there with me. And, you know, just that little bit of nostalgia, it's nice. So, she was expecting me to take like a week on it, and it literally took me like 8 to 10 weeks to finish it. And still to this day, I mean, I'm still putting little bits and pieces in it. And I mean, she gave me this assignment like a year and a half ago. So, um, it's been a big part of my healing and my coping with his death. And I really don't think that I would be where I am now without that. Now, when people ask me about this class, or how I got to being so depressed to how I am now, I always tell them about the book. I tell them, I always tell everybody, start out with that book because it'll take you the longest amount of time. And I mean, you can continue to work on that forever if you wanted to. But at the same time, I want to tell you to start out with a different project too. So I'm going to give you another project at the same time because, I mean, you don't have to do a whole lot into the book at first. You can, do both projects at once, and you can keep that going all throughout the class. Now, I keep on saying class, and some of you don't even realize that this is a class that I'm teaching. And for those that aren't in my local area, that aren't in my state, I do this on Skype as well. So if you want to learn more, or, you want to take the class, whatever, contact me, and I would be more than willing to help you out. I mean, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart, and I really, I just want to help. So, so that being said, the other projects that I'm going to talk about is the poetry, because that was the other biggest part of where I am today. So, when people hear poetry, they are automatically like, that's so dark and depressing, and I'm not good at rhyming, and I mean, you don't have to rhyme, not all poems rhyme, but when you're reading it, if it's just flowing out of you, and it has a nice rhythm to it, it's just, it just feels right when you're saying it or writing it, it's going to feel right inside. And you're going to know that, that's just what you're meant to do, what you're meant to say, what you're meant to write. So I figured to give you a few examples, I would read you a few of my poems, just to give you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about here. So, um, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. um, Alright, so when my father first passed, there were a few poems that I really wrote that were kind of like how I was feeling at that moment, how I felt about my childhood, about, you know, everything. So this one is kind of like in the perspective of me still being a little girl. So here goes. It's called My Daddy's Hand. Daddy, take my hand in yours, and you will plainly see how very much I need you now to love and care for me. As my little hand grows, I will need you even more. Teach me to be kind and loving, caring and forgiving. Show me through your acts of love the pure joy of living. The years will pass by quickly, and one day I will be grown. I will pass what you have taught me on to children of my own. Hold me always in your heart, and remember when we're apart, the special love between a daughter and her daddy's heart. So that was one. This one is not only my view, but I have two older sisters, and just kind of how all three of us felt right after he passed. So this is called The Daughter's Views. A father's touch, a daddy's kiss, the grieving daughters you're greatly missed. An empty house, an empty chair, a father's love no longer there. 3 broken hearts, tear-filled eyes, another soul to fill the sky. Many memories in our minds, some make us laugh, some make us cry. The times we shared, the laughs we had, things we miss when we think of you, Dad. Realizing that's all we have to hold on to, only memories of what was once you. Missing your laugh we will never again hear. That is the reality that fills us with so much fear. No more smile on your face, no more warmth of your embrace. The last hug, the last kiss, the last goodbye leaves us with one last wish. To have you, Dad, here today. Never to leave your daughters again this way. A father's touch, a daddy's kiss. The grieving daughters you're greatly missed. So there's those two. And then, if you're not so much writing about a person, but you're writing about, an event that happened or how you felt about something, I mean, I don't know how to really describe what I'm trying to say, but maybe this will do it for you. This one is called Next. Here one day, gone the next. For most, that's all they think of. Not this is what's for the best. People are selfish. They think only of themselves. Oh, this person is gone. Oh, what's next? What if on every cell phone there was a number you could text? In that text, you would just say the word next. Before your eye, life would rewind, and you would do it all again. This time, you're not selfish, and you're thinking only of them. You would take care of them till the end. See how bad things really are. Your heart will open wide, and though your heart does feel like breaking, you pray to God above. Their soul is yours for the taking, Lord. A candle flickers, a cool wind blows, as you feel a familiar embrace. Thank you so much for all you have done. I love you. See you at heaven's gates. that voice, not from the weak person who you have been caring for, but from the strong person they once were, now just in spirit form. And then, if you're not so much grieving a person, you might be grieving an illness, like I said on my prior post, like I am. Like a lot of my friends are. I personally am grieving a chronic pain condition called interstitial cystitis. I know, big word. I'm not going to go into what it all is, but just for the sake of this poem, I'm going to call it IC. That's the initials. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay, so this one just kind of talks about, my fight going into it and battling it. And, I know that a lot of my friends can relate to that. So, and I know that a lot of people dealing with chronic illnesses and whatnot, they can deal with that as well. So, this is called The Fight. I've been in lots of pain for many years, so many days in the darkness and tears. When you're told nothing's wrong, you live in fear. Fear of being crazy, scared no one cares. Till I'm told all these flares, though you cannot see, is a painful condition known as IC. A breath of relief, a tear of joy, are quickly brought to a halt. As I'm told there is no cure, you will have to fight. Fight what I cannot see? I cannot. Months will pass, and years will too, and fight will turn to believe. Believe in faith in God above, that He will give you strength you don't have to see what you are fighting in order to survive. Trust in God and in yourself. All else is right beside you. Your spouses, parents, siblings too, friends and family alike. You now know they do care, and you're not fighting by yourself. Science has come a long way and won't stop until they have a cure. But until then, let's stand together and be forever IC strong. So, I guess that's it for this video. Any questions, comments? Don't afraid to contact me or post them below. And thanks for tuning in, listening. And I hope that, this helps somebody out there. Certainly helped me. And there will be more videos to come. Thank you. God bless.